Hello, my witchlets, and welcome to another episode of Kitchen Witchery and Other Spells. I know it looks like we're going to cook a meal here, but, I mean, we are. But that's not actually what this particular video is about. Mabon is a festival, well, it's a festival of the autumnal equinox, and it's a celebration of the second harvest of the year. It features a lot of like apples, pomegranates, breads, root vegetables, etc., beans, all of that really wonderful stuff that comes out of the ground, pumpkins, all that stuff. It's so good. But it's also a celebration of gratitude and abundance. And some of the things that happen during the Mabon season are acts of service, like running a food bank or a food drive, and getting involved in community events that help foster the community. So what I'm going to do for you this evening is, this is my own ritual for preparing something for people in need. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you probably know that I am a burlesque performer. And one of my dear friends in the burlesque community is suffering some health issues, and her family as well. Her father-in-law and I believe it's her mother-in-law both are having some pretty major health issues right now, and it's putting a great strain on her husband. So I offered to prepare them some food so that that would take some pressure off of them on trying to take care of his parents as well as take care of her and make sure that they were fed and, you know, full, essentially. So you can see over here to my left, I hope, maybe not, but I have two candles in raised candle holders. I usually use them as my God and Goddess candle on my altar, but for tonight, my God and Goddess are my friend Rawlee's mother-in-law and father-in-law. And then I have another candle burning for Rawlee herself. I have my incense burning. I have a cauldron. I was originally going to use the cauldron for this meal, but this meal is going to be too big for that cauldron because I've made this before and it's very big. And the bell is just to ward off any negative malicious spirits or anything like that. I want my space clear. I want the purpose very focused, which is difficult for me, but my purpose is focused. This is a healing meal. This is a meal of love, and that is what's going into this dish. So what we're going to do, I already have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. Double checking. Yes, 350 degrees. And I've got my sweet potatoes on to boil because we are going to make a vegetarian, actually technically it's a vegan, cottage pie using prepared lentils and a bunch of other fun vegetables and such. And it's going to be topped with mashed sweet potatoes that are going to be made with a little bit of maple syrup, some spices, and coconut milk. So what I'm going to do is, since this isn't really about preparing the dish, it's about what's going into the dish, the intentions and everything. This video is going to run a little differently, and hopefully it won't be as silly as some of my other cooking videos, because this is actually one of the things that I do for other people. It's one of my my goddess's tenets, and that is to take care of those who cannot take care of themselves. So without further ado, what we're going to do is, I have a saucepan here on the stove. We're gonna melt the tablespoon of coconut oil I have in here, and then we're gonna start working on our onions. Once I get everything reframed, it's gonna be more telling you what intention and what focus and what things I'm doing specifically for those intents and purposes. It's been a long day. All right, so obviously I've got a lot of clutter going on behind me, and there's not too much that I can actually do about that given the size of our kitchen and our house and how much stuff we use when we cook. So I'm going to use my bell. And this is just a way to cleanse your space. I've already gone through the house just recently, actually, with Palo Santo, just to clear out some of the energy, because we had a situation happen in the living room that involved a lot of water on our floor, which is not where you want water in your living room. So there was something going on in the house, so I just went ahead, obviously bad plumbing, but I mean something else going on in the house. So I used the Palo Santo to clear it out so that my kitchen is a calmer place. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm heating my coconut oil here over medium heat. Except it should be medium-high heat, so I'm going to turn that up a bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my onions into the pot. And we're going to gently cook these for about 5 minutes. Then we're going to start adding spices all at once. And we're going to let that cook around. Then we'll add our lentils and our tomatoes, and that will have to simmer for approximately 20 to 30 minutes. Onions have, I believe it's a purification property to them. I consider it a purification property because when you cut them, it makes you cry, and tears are cleansing in a lot of different ways. They're very aromatic, so you can allow the fragrance of the onions to work with you and the intentions that you are putting into your meal. In this particular case, this meal is for healing and for protection. So some of what I'm going to do, you may see me casting spells, you may not. It just depends on how I'm feeling in the moment, which is why I don't have anything that's necessarily a ritual, because I don't do anything the same way every time. So my rituals, they're rituals because there is a process involved and there are steps involved to what I do, but it's different every time, because for me, that's the true nature of magic. It's never the same way twice. So I'm gonna go ahead and cook this up. I'll come back once this is ready, and I'll start adding everything else. All right, so these aren't quite soft yet, but I misread my instructions and I actually needed to add the seasoning now. So, like I said, food is medicine for your body as well as your mind and spirit. And in this particular case, what we're doing is, oops. So I'll have a little extra healing here. Each of the spices that we're adding right now, all of them have healing properties except for the ginger.
I thought it was garlic.
I'm sorry?
I thought it was the garlic.
That's what I meant, the garlic. All of them have healing properties except for the garlic, which doubles down on the protection properties, which all of these also have. So this dish is very much intended for protection and healing. So we're gonna go ahead and stir this around. And for me, what helps me in doing these kinds of rituals when it's a specific person or persons that I'm trying to work with, I try to focus my thoughts on them and direct my own energy towards what I'm doing. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking my energy and I'm feeling and envisioning it kind of coming down. So my energy is kind of glittery, go figure. It's like pink glitter. That's what I've been told. So I imagine this pink glittery ball of energy that kind of congregates right here in my chest, and I'm sending it down my arm into my spoon. I'm using a wooden spoon because I always use wooden spoons, but for me it is a conduit between me and food. So in my mind's eye, I can see my pink glittery energy going down my arm into my hand and fingers, down the spoon, and into the food that I'm stirring. So the onions are actually finished cooking. So what we're going to do at this point, we are going to add our 3 cups of lentils. Now you can use canned lentils like I did for this, or you can soak and cook your own lentils. Normally that's what I do. I didn't have that kind of time today, but canned lentils are just fine. I'm going to add a can of diced tomatoes as well. And a cup and a half of vegetable broth. My friend Rawlee is vegetarian, so whereas this is technically a vegan dish, it still counts as vegetarian. So what we're going to do is we are going to stir this so that everything is well blended and well mixed together. And we're going to bring it to a simmer and then let it simmer for approximately 20 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and make the mashed sweet potatoes, because I believe those are probably done boiling at this point, and prep up my dish, my baking dish, to put in the oven once everything is finished. Alright, so I have 1/3 of a cup of full-fat coconut milk in with my sweet potatoes. I'm going to put in a teaspoon of cumin as well. And then what we're going to do is we are going to mash this. Now it's very important. I know there was a ritual meal that we did for, I think it was Lunasa, where you were actively trying to put your negativity into smashing your squash together. This time you don't want to do anything like that. You want to keep your thoughts light and focused on the people you are trying to help and prepare the meal for. So my focus is on Rawlee, her husband Bernie, her child, whose name I actually don't know, her mother-in-law, and her father-in-law. And you're just going to break down your sweet potatoes till they are as small as you can get it. Cameraman Ken has suggested two different utensils for this. The current masher that I'm using, and then this one for when the pieces are small enough. Alrighty. Which should be about now. So we'll go ahead and just get one last twist here. And now we're going to take this one and we're just going to mash it even more. So once I get this done, it will be ready to spread on top of the cottage pie. Once I get that into the baking dish, and then it will bake for approximately 20 minutes. Alright, so we've finished simmering our base for the cottage pie. I did end up forgetting to add in the maple syrup, so I added a tablespoon of that to this as well and stirred it around and let it simmer for about 30 minutes or so. So now we're just going to spoon. Ooh, yeah. That's quite wet. We're just going to spoon this on top and hope it doesn't sink to the bottom much.
Well, spoon it on first, spread it afterward. That's if it's liquid, you want to get it covered first.
It's sinking to the bottom when I put it on, which is why I'm spreading it out.
Oh, okay.
Normally you would use a casserole dish. However, I don't have casserole dishes, to be honest, and so this is really all I have. But also the structure of the container in which you are preparing and cooking your dish is going to play a role in how much the sweet potato topping sinks. But the point of this is not to necessarily make a perfect presentation. This is about love, friendship, healing, protection. And one of the things that I do when I do this is I speak. Not necessarily out loud, but obviously I will so you can hear what I'm saying. But one of the things that I do is I say things like, my heart to yours, my love to you, my grace protect you, and my energy heal you. And that is how I prepare food for people who are in need. There's one more thing to do before I put this in the oven, and we'll be done with the video. So I'm going to take, this is an optional step, but I'm going to take a tablespoon of nutritional yeast and sprinkle it on the top of the sweet potato topping. And I like using nutritional yeast not only because it is excellent flavor, I like it. It's a fairly well-known vegan substitute for cheese flavoring, but it also is packed with protein and B vitamins. B vitamins are very, very good, especially if you're trying to heal. So, and they provide energy as well. So, not so much on the protection, but we've got enough protection with the garlic. So this is now ready to go into my oven for about 20 minutes. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching. I hope that maybe this inspires you to do your own ritual for Mabon in preparing food. Maybe going out into the community, hosting a food drive, something like that. Preparing meals for people who are in need. Maybe you have some shut-ins in your life that could use some help. Do light a candle and say a prayer for my friend's mother-in-law and father-in-law, and light a candle and say a prayer for her as well. She could really use it. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.